It was September 2002, and autumn was just starting to settle into Connecticut with that bittersweet nostalgia that it always brings. The trees hadn't gone full fire yet, just hints of rust at the tips, like they were thinking about letting go but hadn't fully committed. The air had cooled just enough to make you notice, just enough to bring a hoodie for the impending evening. 5 of us made plans to eat mushrooms and camp on a friend's land, a spot we'd returned to for years. Not a state park, no marked trails, just a patch of woods we quietly claimed as our own. A fire pit we built ourselves, tents pitched in the same exact footprints as the last time. There was something sacred in the repetition, like we were reenacting a ritual without knowing the words. It was the kind of place that didn't ask questions. It didn't care who you were outside of it. It just held space for whatever version of yourself you brought in. We weren't kids anymore, but we weren't whatever came next either. We didn't have the language for transition or ego dissolution or self-work. I had a daughter on the way, and I knew that life was about to shift hard, and I needed to stand still for a second before it did. So we went there, built the fire, took the shrooms, and let the forest talk. That evening, the sunset was impossible to ignore. The kind of sky that made you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. Purple melting into orange with streaks of gold slicing across the horizon like someone had torn open the sky on purpose. It was still light, but dusk was creeping in, that in-between hour where everything looks soft and holy, like the world's been put under a filter. A friend and I walked down to a peninsula to smoke a joint and slow down the pace of the fungus that was quickly consuming us. It was a beautiful place. A sliver of land sticking out into the marsh, surrounded by cattails and water the color of old coins. You had to hop over a muddy stretch to get there, but once you did, it was yours. No noise, no fire, just wind and the technotronic chorus of strange swamp insects, frogs, and birds. I sat cross-legged near a large tree and exhaled ganja smoke, closed my eyes and began breathing. At first, nothing happened. Just the gentle hum of the earth doing what it does. Wind brushing the tops of the reeds, the chorus of insects tuning up. Then slowly, I started to feel less. Not bad, not afraid, just less. Like lighter and thinner, as if my awareness was floating a few inches above my body, riding the breeze that had started to move through the marsh. It wasn't dramatic, it was subtle. Like my consciousness had hitched a ride on the air and was being pulled gently away from me. I didn't fight it, at least not at first. It was like watching yourself disappear, but without panic. I could still feel my breath, the ground under me, but my mind and myself were drifting. And then I felt it. A single thread. The only thing connecting me to the body sitting on that mossy patch of land. A fragile, almost invisible thread tethering whatever I was to whoever I'd been. And in that moment, I realized if I let go of this thread, I might not come back. At least not the same way, not as the person I'd spent 27 years cultivating. The awareness of that hit hard. Not like a fear of death, but something deeper, like the fear of obliteration. What if I dissolved? What if the me I knew, my flaws, my sense of humor, my stories, my pain, my patterns, what if they just vanished? Would I even recognize myself? Would I come back at all? I don't know how long I sat there like that. Half here, half somewhere else, breathing, barely tethered. The sky darkened, the wind shifted, and I choose not to let go. I reeled myself back in, focused on the dirt beneath me, the sounds of others laughing at the fire in the distance. The fact that my daughter hadn't been born yet, that I had responsibility now, to her, to life, to something. And the thread held. I stood up, walked back to camp, said nothing. They didn't ask. Maybe they knew, or maybe they were in their own orbits trying to make sense of the colors behind their eyelids. At the time, it was terrifying to feel how close I came to not being me anymore. But now, I see it for what it was. That thread, that it wasn't my soul, it was ego. Clinging, defining, narrating, trying to stay relevant. Because ego doesn't know what's on the other side. It only knows control. And that breeze, that gorgeous dusk, that golden sky, That was an invitation to step into something bigger, to stop being a character and become part of the page. I've thought about that moment so many times. I wonder what would have happened if I had let go, let the thread snap, trusted the wind to carry me wherever it was going. Would I have come back with clearer eyes? Would I have forgotten how to be funny? Would I have forgotten the names of the people I love? Would I have finally seen what was under all the masks? Or would I have just floated off into something unspeakably terrifying or beautiful? I may never know. But I know this, that marsh, that peninsula, the breeze, that sunset, they're all still inside me. And sometimes when things get too loud, when identity starts weighing heavy again, I close my eyes and I imagine myself back there. Back to the edge of the land, back to the golden hour, back to the thread. And I breathe, just to see if it's still there. This has been Slack Signalettes.